guys, it's GreenCosplay again. Yes, I'm back with another book themed video. In this video, I'm going to be making book bags. I don't know how common these bags are. I have seen some being sold in bookshops and online. They are basically just bags for your books to kind of keep them more neat and protect the books if you're taking books with you when you travel, or just in general if you are like me, want to have a book with you wherever you go. I do sometimes get nervous about my books being damaged when I go basically anywhere, because I usually have a lot of stuff with me, and then I like to read paperbacks and also the books that you have like the paper cover on it, like a coat. I don't know what to call that, but especially with those books and also older books that are more like vintage, they might be already a bit broken and maybe damaged. So I want to protect the book, so I usually just have like, if I have notebooks or something, I just basically put the book really neatly in between them to kind of make a sandwich for the book, just to protect the book. And if I ever have those like paper coats on top of the like covers, I always just take them off because they always rip apart if I'm taking a book with me. So I wish that when everything, like the situation that we are currently on, I will be able to take my books with me more safely, if that makes any sense. And I also just wanted to craft something again, so I think this is going to be a nice little project to do just for fun. This has also been on my to-do list for a long time. And now is a perfect time to start making these bags because, well, who knows when it's safe to go outside again, then at least I'm well prepared early. So I'm going to be making 3 different bags for 3 different sizes and also 3 different methods, like how I want to decorate them and what materials I'm using. I used Dan Brown's Inferno as a reference to be like the size of the bag, which is actually one of my favorite books ever, if not the favorite book of mine since ever. It's just amazing. If you haven't read it, it's so good. Okay, this is not a book review video, let's just focus, okay? It's about books, but it's not about books, just focus. I used old tablecloth for this bag that I have been using for multiple projects before. It's a really nice fabric to work with. I wanted to paint something on the bag and I wanted it to be something relatively easy and simple. And I remembered this artist on Instagram who paints cassette tapes and CDs. And I thought, hey, actually cassette tape would be an interesting design to do. The artist is Tan Arts on Instagram, so if you're interested in seeing their stuff out, go check out. I'm going to put the link in the description. I kind of wanted to have similar color palette as in my controller drawing that I did a while ago. The cassette tape did turn out a bit more bright, and the green looks like it's literally Shrek's skin color. It's fine, it's just a bit more brighter than I first intended. Like, I was supposed to do more like pastel, calm color palette, but now it's really like bright and like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of 70s for some reason. Now the line work was a bit challenging to do because basically all of my fabric markers were just dead. They were all so dry, and I also had like these few permanent markers that were really thick, so the lines are really thick. And it was a bit challenging to do, but luckily the bag and also the design is pretty like just big scale, so it wasn't that big of a problem, but it was a bit challenging to do to make it as neat as possible. But I think it turned out pretty okay. This was probably the most easiest fabric to use in this whole project thingy. You're gonna see what I mean later in the video. But sewing this, no problem at all. And painting it, I have been painting on this fabric for a few times now. Actually quite a lot of times with all the character pillows and other stuff as well. It's just a really nice basic fabric to work with, and I highly recommend if you have like old, really well structured tablecloths, use that for something. Just don't throw it away. It's a really good fabric to work with. I wanted the second bag to be a bit smaller than the first one, a good fit for a standard paper bag, and I use Media Kaunisto's Corpus as a reference. Yes, there are boobs in the cover. I hope no one is offended by that. If you like history or historical drama / historical fantasy something, this might be a book for you. I have only read the first book and it was like a okay, not the best book that I have read, but I kinda liked it. It's kind of like I kind of liked it and then I was like, I don't know if I like this at all. The series takes place in Paris in French Revolution, so if you're interested in that era or if you just like Assassin's Creed Unity a lot like me, I recommend this. Again, this is not a booktube video. Focus. I'm sorry. Am I sorry? I don't know. I wanted to do something different with this bag, which I still don't know was it a good idea or not. It definitely was a pain to make and really difficult. Well, it's just, there were so many things that I could have done better, but this was the first time for me to do anything like this, so this was a learning experience. Basically, my idea was to make a window on the bag, so that you can kind of see inside the bag, kind of see maybe a little peek on the cover of the book. I actually had to recut all the pieces at some point, so that's why the footage might be a bit confusing because it looks entirely different. Here's a picture of the original cut and then the later one. I basically just had to figure out how much fabric I'm going to need in the like around the window piece. And I did cut the hole, like the window hole, a bit too big originally, so I just had to make it smaller and the bag just a bit bigger, which is why the bag turned out actually pretty much the same size as the biggest bag. At least now I can just fit a bit bigger books in this one as well, so maybe it's a bit more multi-use than just for paper bags, which is a good thing, but it kind of ruined my idea of making 3 different sizes. I use this clear plastic / file thingy that I use for storing my patterns and stuff. You know, these things, really floppy. I also wanted to decorate this bag somehow, but I didn't want to do anything on the bag itself, so I kind of decided to decorate the window. And then I remembered that I have this ancient, literally ancient sticker album. I don't know when did I get this, but this is really old and I've got some stickers there and then just anything for crafting and scrapping and just, you know, everything crafting. And I decided to use these paper scrappy things. I think these belonged to my mom at some point and then she just kind of gave them to me to use in projects. And it's kind of like a vintage vibe, so I think it just, everything kind of fit very well. The glue wasn't really sticking that well to the plastic, and I didn't film this, but it kind of turned a bit wrinkly. It did straighten out after just having a book on top of the plastic after gluing everything, so it did turn out fine, but one of the butterflies is actually just moving around now. The glue just didn't stick and I actually lost one of the butterflies. Like, I realized this when I saw one of the butterflies literally on the floor after I had sewn the whole thing. So we got some casualties, but it looks okay. Now, this bag was just a nightmare to work with. First of all, the plastic surprisingly was really difficult to sew. Also, the fabric wasn't a good choice in general. It was really stretchy to work with, so it was really difficult to sew in the first place, and making a window was super difficult to do. Even though I tried to make some kind of structure and support around the window with the same tablecloth that is not stretchy at all and is pretty thick material. And on top of that, my mom's sewing machine is really aggressive. I was trying so hard to make everything neat and just, you know, just sew everything really calm and just slowly, but the sewing machine is that kind of, let's just say she has a temperament. Most of the time when I'm sewing with my mom's sewing machine goes like this. I'm thinking that I'm going to sew something and the sewing machine already did it. If that's not summing up good enough for you, I don't know what else to say. It's just really aggressive, so it was really difficult to do anything neatly because everything was just so fast and difficult to kind of contain. In all those things happening, the window kind of ended up really stretched out and kind of like, you know, wiggly. But all in all, I think it looks okay. I think this was a really nice experiment and just learning experience. And considering all the things happening, I think the bag actually turned out pretty nicely. For the third and the smallest bag, I decided to use my Black Butler manga as a reference. I actually don't read manga that much anymore, and I actually don't even own that much manga. If I read manga, it's usually online, but who knows, maybe one day I will be buying more manga again, and I'm going to definitely reread some of the manga that I already own. This is the same fabric that I used in my previous book themed video, and I have also used this in previous cosplay stuff as well. So this was like a familiar fabric to work with. First I thought maybe I should embroider again something on it, just like I did in my Assassin's Creed book video. But then I wanted to do something different. But then I remembered that I have these bags of jewelry. Some of these are my sister's and actually my own really old jewelry that we no longer use. I have saved these jewelry just for crafting, like no one actually uses these anymore. Some of them are broken, and some of the jewelry that I have is actually from my mom's old workplace. She saved some of the like broken and just unsellable jewelry that was going to be thrown away just to repair them and or craft something out of them. So I ended up choosing this big white pearl and leaf earring. Now I did some poor choices with this one. I was really lazy when I started to make this one, and I don't know what I was thinking. I just wanted to glue everything. Not sew anything, but just glue everything, because that's more easier and faster than just sewing. Don't do that. I think the fake leather just doesn't like glue, and also the glue that I used was just something like really basic glue, and I should have used hot glue gun from the get-go, but I didn't. Actually, I should have used hot glue gun and then just sew everything after. What I ended up doing was just glue everything on, realize it didn't really work, but still rolled with it, sew the bag, and see that while sewing and just literally just touching the whole bag, everything just kind of started to fall off. But I still roll with it, I still convinced myself it's going to be okay. And after sewing everything, I was like, oh no, this is actually not gonna work, I have to do some repairs. I did end up sewing the leaves and the small pearls on the bag because they were literally falling off, and when I was almost done, I thought everything was good. I had sewn everything that was falling off, and the centerpiece, like the big pearl and the small pearls around it, was still intact, and I was just like, okay, I'm done, this is good. And then the big pearl just kind of yeeted out the bag. So I had to use hot glue gun anyways. And now it's not as neat. Just don't be lazy like me, just use hot glue gun if you can. It's going to stick on the fabric, definitely. And then just use a needle and thread. It's not that bad. It didn't take that much time and it would have looked neat from the beginning. Well, at least sewing this bag was pretty easy. Although this fabric has a tendency to stretch out as well. I was kind of scared of just touching the whole like piece, and I was scared like if I actually sew it the normal way, so basically right sides facing each other, and then you have to turn it like on the right sides on the outside. Why am I explaining this? I don't know. Anyway, I was scared that the whole thing would just, you know, break and just fall and, you know, it would be a disaster. So I decided to use white thread to sew the bag and kind of make it a decorative stitch. And it would have worked pretty well, except that the sewing machine is so aggressive. It's not as neat looking as it could be, but it worked. So this was as well a learning experience and a nice experiment. And to be honest, the whole decorative part of the bag, I think it looks nice. I think it actually turned out okay, even though it's not as neat as it could be. But it's so big and fragile that I'm actually kind of scared of actually using this bag. So I think this is just going to be a decorative part of my bookshelf or something. So this is how the bags turned out. I'm actually pretty excited to use these in the future. Well, except for this one for obvious reasons. I'm happy that I made this. I learned a lot, like gluing stuff and stretchy fabric. But that's just learning. You can't learn anything if you never do mistakes, I guess. I hope this was fun to watch and maybe even inspired you to craft things as well. Thank you so much for watching. My name is GreenCosplay and take care. This has also been... I know that's a really cheesy one to say, but whatever. I'm just gonna go with it. I used old tablecloth for this bag. Why I can't say it normally. They are basically just bags for your books to kind of protect them from any injuries. Maybe not that. Also 3 different methods like the aesthetic look and technique to, you know. I used Dan Brown's Inferno as... What did you do? What did you do? Nothing? You okay? I heard a click. Don't scare me like that. What did you do? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna... Shush. What are you doing? But it basically... But it sets in... But it takes place in French Revolutionary... No. French Revolution. Paris during French Revolution. It takes time. It takes time? It takes... It sets place. No. Oh yeah, I have to take a thumbnail. Ooh.